Hey, welcome back to the Shade Tree, everybody. Last week we left off getting our redneck body lift in place. Didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to, so I went and got a couple of these 10-ton jacks. A little bit overkill, but we had to get this thing almost 3 foot off the chassis in order for it to roll out. These jacks were just a little too short. I was going to get 2 more of those, but they weren't going to quite get us where we needed to be unless we blocked it up, and I really didn't want to do that. These are much sturdier, much more heavy duty. I'm even thinking about getting 2 more for the back here, just for safety. In theory, the redneck body lift would have worked if those jacks would have went another foot higher, but hey, we gave it a try. It still can be used the way I intended it to be used. Once we get the chassis out and we want to drop this body down to the height of those jacks and stick the wheel on, I think in theory it would work. But for the sake of safety, we're going to stick with the heavy duty jacks. This is okay for now. We'll get 2 more of those jacks coming just for the back end of this, and this chassis is ready to roll out. Someone had made a comment that why don't I use the wheel dollies? Well, for one thing, this garage has a huge drop off right here, and those dollies would not roll in this grass. And for another thing, I don't know if you can see that or not, but this garage floor is not a flat concrete floor. It's got a lot of waves in it. And when I was first pulling this thing in, I had the wheel dollies under the rear wheels, and they popped right out because they hit a crack in the cement. So they're not really very good unless you have a very smooth floor. They don't really work that well. But it was a great idea. I went ahead and pulled the front drive shaft out just to make sure that we weren't bound up anywhere, so this thing can roll freely. So we are ready to roll this thing out and do a power wash on it. I'll tell you what, I've never seen, I worked on a lot of cars, but I've never seen grease like that. How thick that is just incredible to me. Covers the entire engine. All these things probably had a little bit of oil and gear lube leakage, but man, that has just been, this thing must have been just used and abused all its life. All right, so here's the deal. I know we talked about doing carburetor carbulation, but I'm going to tell you right now that I'm beginning to wonder if I got the wrong carburetor kit for that. I mean, it said it was a master kit for the Carter YF, but it didn't come with a needle, and the seat that they gave me is way too big. It looks like it fits in, it screws into the hole, but the opening is much bigger than the other one. It came with check balls, but it didn't come with the weight for the check ball or the retaining spring. So I'm beginning to wonder if I got the wrong kit, and I'm just done fooling with that. So I think what we're going to do at this point, we're going to roll this thing out of here. We're going to clean it down, and we're going to go ahead and pull the engine, transmission, and transfer case out and just go to rebuilding on everything. So we're just going to roll the dice on this engine. He said it ran. I'm going to take his word for it. How well it ran, we don't know, but we'll pull the head off and check the valves and all that. Make sure everything is functioning properly. But as far as a total teardown, I don't think we're going to do that. I don't want to do that, let's put it that way. So let's just go ahead, roll the dice, and get this thing out here and get it cleaned up. Well, she's out. We're gonna have to get the probably got to get the F-150 hooked onto her, pull her over. I'm gonna get her over on this side of the garage, and then we can go ahead and clean this chassis down, clean the engine down, and start tearing this thing apart, man. We got her out. You can see now out in the sunlight. I scraped a lot of the grease off, but man, she's covered mud. I think with a good wire wheel and some rust coating, she'll look like brand new. So the whole idea is to, when the time comes, we'll pull this engine out, put her right in the back of the pickup truck, and we're going to have to free up our engine stand, which is over in the corner. I got a small block Chevy on it right now, so we got to do some finagling to get that thing off the stand, and get the 226 on the stand and get the small block in the other garage, and all, you know, the whole 9 yards. But she's out, and the redneck body lift worked kinda. I think we're gonna eventually drop this down to a more workable height. All right, we're gonna soak her down with some purple degreaser, and we're gonna go to power washing on it. Probably should get the diff cover back on that. I'm going to go ahead and throw the shifter back in too, just to kind of minimize the water getting into everything, I suppose. Well, it got most of the grime and gunk off, but for the most part, what I can say about this thing, this frame is in really good shape. Nothing wrong with that frame at all. Pretty solid. All right, we got the chassis rolled out into her temporary resting place. We got her power washed. I don't think cold water does much for getting that grease off of there. We'll hit her another time with the power washer, and we can start disassembling it. We'll get some rebuild kits ordered and start tearing into this thing. But that's going to be it for me today. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. All right, we are out here on a brand new day. We got the small block off the engine stand. We got her set up on a crate for now. Hopefully we'll be using that on a future project. But for now, for today, we're going to keep working on the old 55 Willys. What I think we ought to do today is we're going to blow the rest of this thing apart, get this radiator support off, try to remove the transfer case from the transmission. And then we can just pull the engine and transmission and get it in the back of the truck, get the transmission separated from the engine, and get the engine on the engine stand. That's what I'd like to have happen today. Let's see how far we can get with it. I suppose we'll get started draining all the fluids and take apart our redneck radiator hose. How crusty that hose is. Think we can reuse that. There's a lot of gas in there. Yep. She's black as coal too, man. Wow. I think we need a new dipstick. Hope that piece doesn't down inside there. I guess we'll find out soon enough. I'd be willing to bet that that is still a 6-volt starter. But nobody bothered to change that over to a 12-volt starter, so we'll have to do that. Well, I'm not sure really what's involved with this, but let's see if we can't get this transfer case off. So I guess any oil is better than no oil. Oh, helps if you take all the bolts out. Sure does. Well, I'm quite certain that's not the way that should have came out of there, but it's out nonetheless. Took the guts of the transmission with it, but you can see, looks like there's been moisture inside there. It's all rusted. So it's all got to get rebuilt anyway. At least now we can get to the other transmission mount bolt. Get the two motor mount bolts out and get this engine pulled out of here. I'm sure hoping this engine runs good. Trick is now to get around the back of the pickup truck. This ground is pretty soft. I probably should have waited. We got like 2 days of heavy rain coming in, so I wanted to actually get it done today, but I'm thinking that we might not be able to. So yeah, see what we can do. Well, we did not get as far as we wanted to do today. Got the engine out, got the transfer case off. Could not get the transmission off. I mean, this thing is just beating me up, man. And I couldn't get it, the ground is so soft that I couldn't get it high enough to get it into the back of the truck without getting a little sketchy. So we're gonna wait till the ground hardens up a little bit. We got rain coming in, so it's gonna be a bit. But in the meanwhile, we can go ahead and get the two differentials off the chassis and clean the rest of this crap off. You know, the old gas line, brake lines and all that. Pull the tires off and proceed to wire wheel and restore this chassis shade tree style. And what I mean by that is we're going to clean it up and we're going to hit it with some like Rust-Oleum undercoating, and that's going to be our 5-star restoration shade tree style. So I guess it's going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this engine up because, like I said, we're getting rain, so we'll wrap it all up in plastic, and so we don't have that issue to deal with later on. And we can get to this thing, we'll get to it and get it hopefully into the garage and onto the engine stand, hopefully soon. So that'll be it for today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Well, the rains have subsided. Let's see if we can get the tires off this thing. In case you didn't know, these are left-hand thread. I didn't know. Right-hand thread. You're going to want to keep your nuts separated. So I know what you're thinking. We got tires off, might as well check the brakes while we're at it, right? Wrong. You need special tools to get these drums off. I just found that out. So I ordered a special puller for the rear ones and a special socket to take the front ones off. If you're planning to do a project on a Jeep, be prepared to spend $200 up front just to check your brakes. That, by the way, is another good argument for a chassis swap. Anybody need a used gas line? I'll sell it to you cheap. Okay, we got the chassis mostly stripped down. Got the motor mounts off. Started undoing the shocks. Got the muffler out of there. Brake lines out. Gas line out. Can't really do much with the brakes till we get the drum puller. I got a whole bunch of parts ordered, so there won't be a shortage of things to do next week. We still have to separate the transmission from the motor. We got a transmission rebuild kit coming. We got a transfer case rebuilt coming. We got an engine freshen up kit coming. New shocks, new brakes. We still got to do redneck sandblasting on this, which is a wire wheel, and undercoating. Get that all freshened up. I still want to pop the, if I can get those U-bolts off, I'd like to pop these universals off and just get them cleaned up. Basically, the rear one, the rear differential, as you already know, has to be totally rebuilt. So that'll be a fun project, I'm sure. Lost a couple days because of the rain, so I guess that's gonna wrap it up for this week. We'll be back at it again next week with a whole lot to do. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. If you know anybody that would be interested in the 55 Jeep builds, send them the link if you would. Like, comment, I'd appreciate it. And until next time, man, take it easy.